post them down. Lots of things to talk about, different live chat setup. This is the second time we've done this, and I'm starting to figure it out just a little bit. I really like a lot of the options. Don't understand them, but I like them. One of the things that I want to say right off the bat is 1.5 hours is what we're going to shoot for from here on out. That's what the live chat. We don't, I mean, going 3 hours is great, but honestly, I keep losing my voice due to how many phone calls I deal with these days and other things. And we're going to try to get them on a schedule. We have not decided what that is, but we'll be announcing that soon and probably like the third Saturday or Friday or whatever. Maybe you all can put suggestions down in the comments on what days you think would be good. So, be original, Tennessee Tim. Good evening, Tim, and thanks for coming on again. Cayman, no pressure, but do you have a speaker schedule yet? So Lynn is, if I remember correctly, from California and driving all the way out to Hive Life. So that is impressive and going to be quite an interesting trip. We're definitely going to make it fun and worth the trip, though. I promise you that. Now, as far as do we have the speaker schedule yet? I don't. I've got about a third to not quite half of the speakers who have said this is what I'm speaking on. Right now we're still hashing some things out on that. The schedule that we had last year was the first speaker started at 9 o'clock. You go for an hour, 30-minute break. But I don't have that yet. Going to try to work on that this week. We're invoicing vendors. I'm trying to get up the vendor deals on the website. We just added several hotels to hivelifeconference.com. And by the way, we are shutting it down tonight at midnight. So if you're needing to get your ticket, you need to get it before midnight tonight. And we hate to shut it down, but at the same time, we can't handle any more people than what we have. We might be able to, but um, Laurel says enough's enough. And hey, I'm not going to fight that battle. Not for anybody. um, all right. Spirit of Toad. Thanks so much for coming on and watching the videos. You're welcome. We're going to definitely be reinventing some things next year. I am monstrously excited about the future. All right. Idaho. Getting some snow up there yet? Yep. San Francisco. All right, Lynn. Matt Kirkland. Evening. Well, Matt, I just saw you not too long ago. Hope you guys are doing good down there. Pappy's Bees. Pappy, are you ready to help Dustin at the Hive Life Conference? Get a workout moving all those boxes. Vermont, people from all over the place. North Carolina. All right, Lynn, will you be recording for later posting on Vimeo all of the speakers or just select ones? Will we know in advance so we can plan out strategies? So everything will be professionally recorded. Last year's turned out really good. And this year, we have invested even more money and infrastructure into making the videos even better. I was really happy with last year's videos. The audio is great. We had multiple shots. Everything was really good. So we will be having all of those available. Every speaker will be on there. So it'll be 24 hours of lectures. So if you heard Bob Benny and maybe you weren't able to go to the other room and hear Richard Noel, but you wanted to catch up with that or whoever, you'll still have access to that. And what we're going to be doing, and I'll announce this probably at Hive Life, is we're going to have a deal for the people who come to Hive Life. You're going to get a significant cut off of the price tag. And then for those who did not go to Hive Life, it'll probably be around $60 for the whole set. And that is just to try to offset some of the costs for this professional team. Good day from Melbourne, Australia. All right. Thanks for hopping on. What time of the year are you guys in, Ian? Are you guys in your spring, pre-spring, getting later into your spring? Where are you guys at? I know you guys are quite a bit different. I think getting busy. Let's see. What TV is the coldest what is the coldest you've ever done OAV? 40s. You could do it in the 30s, I suppose, but the problem is they're so clustered. If they're really tightly clustered, not a whole lot of that vapor gets in between the bees, and you got to get it and get them coated. So if possible, get an upper 40-degree Fahrenheit day, or a 50-degree Fahrenheit would be even better, and do it then. I'd say even in Vermont, you'll probably get a shot to get an upper 40s, low 50s, maybe one more time, maybe not. Mid/late spring, but weather has been like winter. So the weather's been all over the place down here. We have had some 70-degree days for a good bit, and now the bottom's dropped out of it. I just flew in today from Missouri, and it was cold, and I had a layover in Chicago, and it was darn cold up there. It's still quite cool here in Tennessee, but I'm ready for the cool weather. I like cool weather quite a bit. I hate July and August, my least two favorite months of the year. And this was our slower time of the year, but with Hive Life Conference, there is no such thing anymore. Hey, Dave Dwyer, thank you so much. I hope you are doing well, and you and Ethan are still kicking some butt on those video games. I haven't heard from you in a while, but I hope you're doing very well. You got to catch up sometime. Hello from Ontario, Canada. All right. That one flipped through really fast. I didn't see the rest of it. Hey, Mr. Reynolds, New Northwest Montana. I need to get my reading glasses on. Where are those things? All right. See you in January. All right. We got someone from Canada coming on down. So you guys didn't know I wore glasses, did you? Well, I actually don't. So anyways, I throw them on actually because right now we're doing so many emails and so many invoices and using a computer so much. I have to wear these things to help my eyeballs out. I'll be like bloodshot at the end of the day. Ian, it's midday in Australia. We are in spring, but it has not stopped raining for 6 weeks. The country is in a flood. Not so great for the bees. Wow. So, from what I understand, you guys have been in a drought for several years. Not like maybe back to back, but you've had drought for a while. Maybe that's just certain parts of Australia, but hopefully you guys will dry up soon and get some nectar flowing. Came in any update on global patties? So I should have an answer on that by this week. I'm waiting to hear back from Global, but they're taking their sweet time. I don't got it. So I will be giving them a call probably tomorrow. I should have an answer. And if Global won't do it, Man Lake is willing to do it. I would like to just go ahead and, since I already have talked to Global a little bit about it, to do that. But if not, we can get discount Man Lake patties with rocket fuel in them. Cayman, I saw you in Joplin. I really appreciate the information from the conference. Hey, Dave, thanks so much for coming out and saying hey. It was good to see you again. And David Williams, he was at the conference as well. So, both of you guys, I really appreciate the support a lot. It means a lot to me. When you go to these things and people are like, should we try Kamon Reynolds out? When you guys show up and you make me look good, it helps a lot. I appreciate that. Everyone probably doesn't know you're about knee high to a grasshopper either. Yeah. Well, not all, you know, at least I'll admit it. I am pretty short. However, what's awesome is that there were several people there shorter than me. They were all pretty much female, but there was at least a couple of people that took pictures with me that weren't like 8 to 12 inches taller than I was. Is a ticket needed for Thursday? So any ticket that you buy, Honeystone Farm for Hive Life will include the entire experience. There's two options as far as the conference experience. Now there is two options, and one's for meals and one's without. So if you'd rather go and source your own meals, or if you pack something, you eat it out in your car or whatever. The conference center won't let us bring food in, but a ticket covers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Thursday is just a meet and greet, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're just going to have like Bob Binney and Paul Kelly with the University of Guelph, and Ian and a few other guys, Frederick Dunn, Randy McCaffrey, Mr. Ed, all in a group. So you can say hey and get your pictures with them, or throw something at Randy McCaffrey. I would give you the ammo if you were willing to do that. But yeah, that will cover the entire experience. When is Jimmy getting the A haircut? Nah, Laurel won't let me do it. It ain't gonna happen. All right, Ian puts 4 rockets, and that's for the Canadian rocket fuel. So it's a great product. We hope that it is used by a lot of people. Um, there's a lot of snake oils in this industry, and this isn't one of them. So it'd be nice to see the money that's going into those other supplements go to a supplement that actually adds some nutrition to the bees. Lynn says, Cayman, I'm just going to get into beekeeping this spring with one hive. I live here in Tennessee. Can I order bees from you? If so, how do I go about that? Thank you. All right, that's a great question. Right now, it's all Hive Life. And so I'm not taking any orders. However, send me an email at the end of January to early part of February. I'll be taking nucleus colony orders. That's all I do is sell 5-frame nukes. They have 3 frames of brood, a frame of food, and 1 frame that they'll probably be halfway drawn out on the comb or completely drawn out. They'll be in good shape with a good queen. But yeah, email me. You can email me at tennesseesbees at gmail.com. Let me just go ahead and type that up because a lot of people don't put the S on it and it goes to Tennessee Bees. And that's another guy. And he is not thrilled with all the emails that he gets that are not for him. All right. So tennesseesbees at gmail.com and boom. All right. There that goes. All right. Kame, what's your opinion about putting granulated sugar in top hive feeders this time of the year? As long as the bees are strong and powerful, they have enough heat and enough bee power to be able to go up into those feeders. It needs to the bees need to be close to it though. If it's a double deep and most of the bees are at the bottom or in the middle of it, and that's way up top, they probably won't fool with it much. And if they're light, they'll need to have that right close to them. So it can work. I guess it depends on the top feeder. I don't use a lot of top feeders, and I'm not super familiar with a lot of the types. But I do have Apame top feeders. I've taken them out and used frame feeders. Um, but I think that those would work really good if I wanted to use that, as long as the cluster was right underneath the feeders. Really don't have a lot of experience there. Cayman, great list of vendors for Hive Life. Kudos to you and Laurel. Glad to see the Honey and Bee Connection part of the group. Great and personable business from Moorhead, Kentucky. Yeah, I've had several people that have told me they do business with the Honey and Bee Connection, and I was talking to him just the other day and his wife. Some of the details, they're bringing a ton of extraction equipment, Savan, uncapping tanks, extractors, and that's the thing with Hive Life. There's a lot of pre-orders going on, which is great. However, there's going to be a lot of great deals at the conference, and my goal is not just to provide an area where people can get educated from Bob Benny and Landy Simone and all these great beekeepers, but also get educated on all the products of the industry. We've got 1,700 people signed up right now. I'm sure some of them will back out between now and then, but I'd say we'll have at least 1,600 people at the conference, which is fantastic. And if all those 1,600 people like you all come and see 80, like 5 vendors, 7 different brands of extractors, several different box manufacturers, vaporizers, all of these different tools, you can compare them all on the spot and make more informed decisions for yourself, but also for your bee club when you go back and tell them what you saw. And that's what we're trying to do. Jeff Brooks says, did you say the rocket fuel is incorporated into the Man Lake patties? It is not, and probably never will be on the regular. However, at the Hive Life conference, we are going to be bringing in discounted bulk patties. And right now we're trying to work a deal with Global that will have the Apis Biologics or rocket fuel put into the patties. It's not Apis Biologics has 2 products. There's a liquid feed, and then there's the bio activator, which is the pollen sub feed. That is what we're trying to put into Global and bring that to the conference at a very discounted price, much cheaper than anybody could get it themselves. And if we can't go that route, then we will go Man Lake. Cayman, when can we pre-order Hive Life shirts? I was hoping they would have a date on them so I could start a collection. Well, we will have some with dates this year. Last year, I wasn't 100% sure, about we just got it done last minute. And so we just threw something together. This year, we're going to have more options. We are actually talking today about designs. I've got one that I'm pretty excited about. I'm hoping we can get done in time. And it's part of the funds is going to go to the Hives for Hero program. And I'm a big fan of what they're doing for the vets. And two of my favorite things is bees and heroes. So we might have a shirt for those guys too. All right, press that like button and subscribe and all that jazz. Yeah. All right, Michigan, we got people from all over the place. -10 this morning. Oh my goodness, Robin, keep it up where you're at, please. 38 in Louisiana. Brr. Hey, Sam Martin, thank you so much for supporting our channel and helping us out. I just put Hive Alive fondant patties in my hives and was wondering if that's bad if I cover the hole in the inner cover because of ventilation. Thanks. Don't worry about it. It'll only be temporary. Those bees will eat through that, and some of the moisture that maybe would have gone through that hole will just collect into that fondant, and they will just eat it all the faster because it'll be even softer. I don't even use upper ventilation in my hives, and I know beekeepers that are north of you and me that don't use upper ventilation. A lot of it depends on configuration and how much insulation the colony has, and what kind of thermodynamics the colony has going on in there. A strong colony can control the thermodynamics really good compared to a small colony that just really can't do much. Would you recommend queen rearing essentials for a first attempt raising my own queens? Spirit of Toad, absolutely. One of the best books on queen rearing is Queen Rearing Essentials. Wick Wasp Press will be at the conference, and I'm excited to have them again this year because I have several of their books. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 7 of their books, and they're all good ones. The thing I like about them is they're nuts and bolts with science, but it's not like shoo science. And the pictures are really helpful. A good book. All right. So let's talk about a thing or two real quick after I get to Lynn's question. So let's get that back on up there. Thank you, Chris. Kamon, I'm a mentor in Hive for Heroes. I told them I'd help out at their booth. Lynn from San Francisco. Awesome. So I didn't know that, Lynn. That's great. It's an awesome program. I love what those guys are doing. Of course, they're going to be there. A lot of veterans are beekeepers, and it is awesome. So, how would someone go about getting a set of T-shirts 3-to-1, 2-to-1, and 1-to-1? Thanks. We might be able to hook you up, Donovan. Yeah, just wait and see. I definitely Natalie's saying that maybe instead of being 2-to-1, I should be like 1-to-1, but she has to be 1-to-1 or at least 0.5-to-1 or something like that. Natalie might be as tall as I am, but I think I outweigh her by a good 60 pounds or more. So I was actually in her home state anyways. This morning I was in Missouri, just flew in this morning and thought, heck, why not have a live chat? So one of the things that I wanted to let you all know, if a bee club, a state organization or a bee club is wanting me to speak, I do Zoom meetings on the regular, and those aren't too hard, but I will be gearing back on the speaking engagements. As far as flying out, and I did 14 this year, and it's a little too much between Hive Life, the YouTube, and I'm doing too much stuff, and that's why I haven't been posting as much content. Honestly, my voice has been in and out the last couple of months, and it's been really hard to produce content and keep my voice in shape. So this year I was in Arkansas, Maryland, Missouri, Texas, West Virginia, Ohio, of course, Kentucky and Tennessee multiple times, and a few other states as well. And I really have had a blast doing it, but it takes so much time away from my family and from my business and focusing on my YouTube and getting more information out for you all. So if anybody wants me or has any club on the radar, I'm only going to do maybe like 5 next year. So you can send me an email or something. Mark Reese, hey, thanks for coming out to Joplin. You guys have a great bee club. It might not be the biggest one that I've been to this year, but it was definitely in the top 2 or 3 of the conferences I went to as far as how well it was executed and ran. So I guess while we're talking about Joplin, I got this shirt right here. I actually got a couple shirts. This one's a Route 66. It goes right through Joplin. They've got some really neat historic stuff, and I flew in on the airport there. Oh my goodness, it is hilariously small, but I love it. And I got they loaded me up with, this is a fraction of the jerky they gave me. So if you want to get to my heart, beef is a good way to do it. Speaking of Missouri, there's this company right here. I met him, was it yesterday? Holy smokes. Yeah, it was. So yesterday I met with the owner of Copper Canyon. They make great coffee. They roasted themselves, and they actually go down to South America and talk to the folks that raise the beans and stuff like that and work with them. It's awesome. And they are going to be the official coffee sponsor of Hive Life 2023. I couldn't be more excited. The coffee is going to be great. They also make their own teas. They're going to have tea there, and maybe more than that. So we're definitely talking about even a few more options. So super excited. And everything that they sell, when they ship it to you, there's a packet of seeds, and they have distributed like billions of pollinator seeds in their coffee. So that's really cool. Beekeeper owned and pollinator friendly, all that stuff. And it's coffee. I mean, come on. All right, let's get back to some questions. Yeah. Did you see Lewis Bartlett's presentation on Bob Benny's channel, Beetle Control on the Protein Patty? Kamon, what did you think of this? So when I spoke in Maryland, I actually was a keynote with Lewis, and we talked into detail about that. I was told to keep silent, and so I have. But I'm really darn excited about this. Obviously, there's still some things to trial out a little bit more, but they feel really good about it, and it seems to be pretty promising. And if we can get a product in the patty that will help our bees out and kill beetles, I mean, it's like getting your cake and eating it too. We'll see where it goes. Obviously, I'm sure there's still a thing or two maybe to figure out, but I am all over something that will feed my bees and keep without raising beetle problems. I'm take my money. Todd Prater, hey Kamon, if you were mixing up your patty recipe that contains Ultra Bee and the gelatin, how much rocket fuel would you add to it? Remember, if it was up to you, how much would you add? Well, I follow the directions that Andrew, who designed the product up in Canada, would give me. So if you buy one of the packets, they'll do like 50 pounds. I'll have to double check, but it says on the pack. And I would really stick to that because these things are vitally important to our bees, and they're expensive. I mean, it's not crazy expensive, but they're not cheap either because it's the real stuff, and the real stuff is never cheap unless you're drinking out of a creek or something like that and getting some water. Nowadays, they just bottle it and sell it in plastic. But anyways, I want to overuse it for 2 reasons. One, because it's pricey, and 2, it's been really tested. And sometimes these trace minerals and these trace elements, there's a reason there's only a trace amount. You put half again, it actually could cause issues. And some trace minerals are really bad like that. They're vitally important, but just a little bit too much, and it becomes runs into toxicity or hormonal imbalances and different things like that. So I'd stick to the recipe 100% on those. And I've talked to Andrew several times. I know Ian has way more than I have. The guy knows his stuff. Okay, let's see. How many pallets of Apis patties have been sold? I haven't checked it in about a week, so I don't know yet. I know we were like at 6 or something like that last I looked, so I'm hoping it's around 7 or 8, and I need to get some myself, and I'm sure a few more people would probably hop on board. What would you use to feed hives that are too light? So right now, if I have some hives that are light, and we can get a day that's warm enough that they'll take syrup, A bucket feeder or an inverted jar right over the bees. Get the bees right next to it. Put 2 to 1 on them. The thicker, the better, and they can take it. I don't know where you're at, 79. So if you're way up north, you might not be getting any more days like that. If you're down in Texas or the southern states, I'm sure you can still feed some. I can feed a little bit longer here in Tennessee, but it's definitely going to be 2 to 1. Tennessee's bees, do you prefer double deeps or singles during areas with long winters? I can do both. Double deeps are great. Singles are great. It's all about having a good cluster in there and enough honey to go through the winter. So my winters, start about right now. Bees really have shut down with this cold spell, but my bees will start brooding in February. And with the first pollens, that might be the end of February, it might be the mid part of February. And so we'll be in our bees in late February for sure, and starting to check feed levels. I think a lot of beekeepers think that you shouldn't be getting into your bees that early in the season, but you're not going to damage your bees by cracking the lid a little bit when it's the time of the year they're bringing in pollen. And there's things that you can do to seal the lid back if you're concerned about, drafts. If you're in one of those really extreme cold areas, you can use like what Ian does, the what he calls foamies, or what I call reflectix. There's other things that you can use to seal your hives back. And ultimately, if your bees need fed, I don't care if it's 10 degrees outside. You go out there and you feed those bees and get that on them. And if it's late in your season, Wandering Okie, okay, so you're in Oklahoma. Okay, that makes sense. Give them some 2 to 1. And then if you feel like there's still a little bit of light, make some sugar bricks up. That's 10 pounds of sugar to 1 cup of water. Get a drill and a paint stir, mix it up. It's like wet sand. Pack it into a tray, stick it in the oven about 150 degrees for an hour or so, and then pull it out, let it cool, and make a little rim and put it right next to the cluster. And that thing will be hard as a rock, and that'll give them emergency food if you need to do that. Very cheap and affordable. Hey, Kamon, what is your goal and plan for next year? Oh, okay. Well, how long do you guys have? As far as my goals for next year, there's a lot of them. I won't go into too much detail, but I've had to come to the realization that I can't, one, do everything. So one of the goals is to get an employee, or one and a part-time guy, if I can get that done. We need to streamline things so I'm not working 70 hours a week on average, and Laurel's working about 50 to 60, not including kid duties. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more personal time. That's one of the main goals. But also, we've come to realize that education's super important, and we're now working with dozens and dozens and dozens of companies, influencing product, influencing how people are buying product. It's a big responsibility, and we want to make sure that we do it right. And more importantly than maybe any of that is we want to continue to do our YouTube videos. And I haven't been able to do as much lately for multiple reasons, and I'm not okay with that. All I can say is in 2023, our YouTube channel is going to be bigger and badder than ever, and it's going to be awesome. And there's going to be a lot more education. We're going to do some field days. We're going to sell a lot of bees. We're going to do a lot of stuff. Have you ever heard any more on the artificial propolis sealant? I have, David. That's something that I need to be doing a video on, and I will try to get that done. Get the recipe up. It's something that everybody can make themselves using beeswax and some mineral oil. Watched a ton of your videos and attended Hive Life this year. First year beekeeper and first time with a new small business. Just getting started in that realm. Have learned a ton from you. Thanks. Hey, thanks for saying so. I really appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. When we got into this, I told my wife it would never work. Here we are. And there were several times that we had some people get on and be really brutal, and we still have people be brutal multiple times a week. However, it's the encouraging stuff like that that really fire me up every morning to go at this to the best of our ability. And I think as we get more employees and help, we'll be able to just do tremendously more than what we are doing now. Off the topic of winter, I want to do some grafting this spring. I've watched your series on making queens with the 5-frame nuke, but I had a thought. To expand genetics without making so many queens, is it okay? Is it going to just like continue down, or how does that work? I can't see the whole question. Oh, possible to only let grafts, let's say 5, graft 5 larvae in some JZBC cups and put them into a queenless split and just let them draw out, feed, and raise those queens. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, if you, let's say you had 2 or 3 different lines or whatever, maybe you purchased some New World carnies, you had some of your own that you liked, and then you had some Saskatraz or whatever it is, VSH from Corey Stevens. There's no reason why you can't graft those in the same set. If you wanted, to have, if you made 30 of them or 20 or whatever it is, you could divide it into 3 groups or 2 groups or whatever it is you want, and they'll still draw them all, and you'll just have to keep them marked and keep track of what you have. You can totally do that. And a 5-frame nuke, if you run it powerful, the biggest mistake people make when raising queens with a 5-frame nuke is they put 5 frames of bees or less in there. There needs to be 7 to 8 frames of bees in a 5-frame nuke. There needs to be so many bees they're clustering outside, because there's nowhere. And it doesn't matter if it's 40 degrees outside. There's a handful of them clustered out the entrance because they're that strong. Those bees will be just fine. They'll be just fine. And they got to have food constantly. They have to have plenty of resources in there, tons of nurse bees. We want swarm-like conditions without the swarm. And if you can do that, you'll raise the fattest, greatest bunches of cells you ever wanted to. Best way to clean frames damaged by wax moss. Blowtorch. No, there's no good way to do that, really. Hive tool. I know some people have soaked frames and try to loosen things up, but the problem is then you cause a lot of swelling with the wood, and that damages the longevity of your frame. So I don't recommend that at all. Maybe actually taking a light bit of torching to them. It would char them slightly, but if it's just real light, it actually might get rid of some of the issues. However, if it's plastic foundation, then definitely don't do that. You'll have to scrape those all the way down, and it's a huge pain in the buttocks. I do some every year, and now I'm getting my kids to do it. Ordered tickets to the Hive Life a few weeks ago, so maybe we will meet there for the first time. Oh, awesome, Wildwoods. Definitely. I'm looking forward to this year as opposed to last year. I have a lot more people helping me. We have quite a huge crew. Last year, we tried a few people out because I didn't want to throw all my eggs in one basket with people I never worked with before. But we had some that really stood out and helped us tremendously and could handle responsibility. So this year, I'm making them do the roughest part, and I'm just going to be kissing babies and shaking hands and that kind of stuff. So I should be available to hang out. We are second-year beekeepers. Started watching you when we began. It was fantastic to meet you at the Texas Beekeepers Conference in Temple last week. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge. Hey, Raylene, that was awesome. I had a great time down there in Texas. Several kind people and darn good food down there too. Whew. Chris and I, Chris, why don't you want to hop on for a second? Don't be bashful. Chris is like the guy behind the curtain. You gonna do it? All right, there he is. So, you know, he went down to Texas with me, and Chris, there was some pretty good food down there, wasn't there?
Yeah, Bucky's is a great stop for some food. I think my my wallet and my figure are very happy there's not a Bucky's with some great Texas barbecue up here in Ohio. So those are, but yeah, I mean, Texas is always a great time. So it was a great opportunity to meet so many awesome Texans down there. So it was a great time.
It was. We had a lot of fun. He was helping me work on Hive Life stuff because we really didn't have time to take a complete break for 4 days from Hive Life. So we flew him down, and we were able to do a lot of Hive Life work and filming and hash through some stuff, and also talk to a couple cool guys down there and work out some other business deals that will be impacting 2023. But we can't tell you right now. Sorry. Yeah, Chris, I have to kill you if you say anything.
Comes the word.
But Chris is one of the guys that's helping us get things done, and we appreciate you, Chris. Now go back behind the curtain.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
But yes, thank you guys so much for that came out to all the conferences I went to this year was fantastic. And Matt Kirkland was one of those guys. I appreciate that so much, Matt. Kama, would you recommend Italian slash Carney hybrids for good honey yields? I know guys that love Italian Carney hybrids, and I've had some that were just a Mod Podge, and they work good. Honestly, since when I raise my own queens, I just raise the ones that always do the best for me, and so that really continues to give me those results. But I've had fantastic results doing mostly Carney bees too. You have to manage them a little bit different, but I've had good success with straight carnies, and I've had some good success with Italians that are, even the commercial strains, but they take more babying. You have to feed them a lot more. If I don't see any reason to run full brood Italians unless you're just taking bees to the almonds or trying to sell the earliest nukes and bees. But Italian carney hybrids are great, getting that hybrid vigor and all that stuff. But bees are pretty hybridized as it is, so it's so darn hard to figure out what you got half the time anyways. We just try to do the best we can and keep a little bit of records and hope we're doing all right. Steve, man, we appreciate you yet again for coming on here and doing some big donating to our work, and I appreciate you very much. And I will take Laurel to dinner on Steve. So we go down to dinner, and I'm just like, hey, babe, this one's on Steve. And I don't know if how well that will work. Laurel's not in here, so I wonder if she's listening in on her phone. But Laurel, you make sure you get dinner. I'll take her to. Oh, she clapped in the other room, so she's excited. She's getting dinner. So I guess we won't go to McDonald's. We'll go somewhere nice. She really likes Italian. We'll try that one. Cayman for president. I'd get shot with a mouth like mine in that office. I'd get shot. I'd say the truth, and somebody wouldn't like it. Catherine Simpson, watching Cayman. Can I get more shirts? Absolutely. We're going to be working. Thanks for asking, Catherine, on several shirts designs. We're going to try to have one design or two that's going to have for pre-order probably only a more girl style. I think what are these V-necks? Is that what they're called? I don't even know what I wear half the time. All right, so I got a thumbs up from Chris. V-necks, yeah. All right, where's Laurel when I need her? But yeah, we'll have some cool designs. We're working on one right now that's a little bit more feminine. We'll have some that are more neutral in between. But I'm trying to figure out what everybody likes, and my fashion skills are zero. So while we've been talking on Texas, I wanted to say real quick, there was a fella down in, let me see if I can pull it up really quick. I should have already had this up beforehand. Looking on my computer. Well, I'll just have to do it on the next live chat, I think. But we have this nice photo right here. I don't know how well you can make it out, but it is. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. Here we go. This guy takes photos, and you got the pollen basket, but if you can see real close, there's a drop of nectar in that bee's mandibles, and he was able to get that shot. Isn't that not crazy? That is, he takes some really cool shots. So we're going to see if we can get him maybe at the conference or something like that. But he gave me that picture, and one of the kids that's with the sponsorship program, him and his dad and his family make this awesome Texas creamed honey. And this is the traditional kind. It's just regular honey. I mean, it is so smooth. They take the honey crystallized and they just grind it up, and they get this texture right here. It is so smooth you can't even feel the crystals. I hope Natalie's not watching. Now this right here, this is the stuff. This is the best flavored honey I've ever had. Maybe the Kiave honey from Hawaii is as good with the vanilla bean in it, but this is right there up at the top. So this is honey fudge. It's chocolate with orange, and this is incredibly good. I don't know if you guys have had like those chocolate orange candies. I don't even like those that much. This is better. And it's just honey, chocolate, and orange. I mean, this stuff right here is like crack. Not that I would know, but the problem is I could eat that whole tub. It's dangerous. But the Oakley family down in Texas makes that, and it is top shelf stuff. Awesome. What's the name of the cream honey? So it says chocolate orange honey fudge. Did you not hear me the first time, Stan? No, actually, it's really small lettering. Oakley Family Apiaries, and they are in Elm Mat, Texas. This stuff is legit some of the best stuff I've ever tasted that has anything to do with honey. This is the future. Mm. And we're all going to be fat if the future has more of that in it. Okay. Any updates on extended release OA? Not quite. Not quite. It doesn't work near as good as what I was told it was. I've tried it out before. I was pretty sure we'd end up with those kind of results, but yeah, I wasn't too pleased with the results. How would you bulk up carnies for almonds, or is that possible? Well, first of all, a lot of the guys, that do almonds, not all of them, but a lot of them take them down south. Like Kent Williams goes down to Mississippi, or maybe it's Louisiana. It's one of those states. A lot of guys take them south, so they'll start earlier because they get pollens down there in January, and that really helps get the bees going. And carnies are really triggered by real pollen. Also, they've got to go into winter really strong. You don't need to be having 4-frame clusters coming out of winter. You need 6-frame or 7-frame clusters. That means nutrition has got to be optimal, and you have to have a young queen that's going to lay harder than a second-year queen would. So, carnies are a little bit harder to do that. It's not impossible. Extended release OA. So it's like, so have you done anything with that, Ian? So we did Randy Oliver's sponges this year. I wasn't pleased with the results. I haven't released the data yet, but I definitely am not going to be using it as a regular treatment at this point. Guys having good luck with extended release oxalic acid up here in the prairies. Yeah, well, I wonder what the ratio of mites you guys produce in a year versus what we produce down here is either. And I'm not trying to knock what you guys do up there at all, but um, the results that we get aren't like zero, but it's not like mites are here and mites are going like that. They're mostly flatlining. And, I haven't found it to be a good knockback treatment at all this year or in the past. But you guys might be using a different delivery system. But the vegetable glycerin, sponges, and OA, not super impressed. It can be like a stopgap. Use the treatment here, drop those on, chip away at the mites, and keep them low, and don't let them build up, and then hit them again with something later on. We in the test this year in the oxalic, the whole group, we threw some packages in. Those packages started out with just like such a low mite population, and some of those were washing 100 mites by what was it? Yeah, late September. Late September when we were washing them, there was multiple ones that were up like around 100 in the control group. We raised mites good, and that's it. That's starting packages in April. All right, what was that other question? What's rocket fuel? So rocket fuel is stuff that they use in Elon Musk's little things that he shoots in outer space. But as far as what we call rocket fuel in the beekeeping world, that's a Canadian product made by Apis Biologics. Rocket fuel just sounds a whole lot better. But Apis Biologics is a cool company that makes supplements, and Ian Stepler's worked with them for years. And this was my first year using it, the liquid and the protein product. And it is the best supplement I've ever tried. There's not a lot of competition really in that market anyways, but this one's really dialed in. It's built and designed fully on studying nectar and pollen, and what enzymes and acids and phytohormone profiles and phenolic this and all these 26 letter long words that nectar and pollen has. And so they basically just try to mimic that to the best of their ability, and voila, you have a better supplement. We like to call it rocket fuel. Will any vendors have Apame deals for Hive Life? Apame will be there, and they're formulating their Apame deals. Chris, aren't you? You're helping with that, aren't you? Yeah, Chris is giving me the thumbs up, so he's helping Apame put together their package for everybody this year. We're gonna have them. We'll have lay-ins hives. We're gonna have horizontal hives. We're gonna have it all. We're gonna have 14 countries represented at Hive Life this year, and as many as 2,000 people. Those aren't all attendees. A lot of those are staff and speakers and a lot of vendors. You know, vendor manpower is probably around 260 people. So it's going to be, if you don't like big crowds, this is a nightmare for you. All right. Let's see. Whoa, I'm way behind. Did you ever see the U.S. being? Do you ever see the U.S. being more mite free than what it currently is, David? Based off of history, I would say no. I think there is a future to dealing with Varroa more successfully than we have. Some better genetics and some better treatments. But the reality of it is, we do not have a precedent in the past that I've ever seen where we have gotten pests and we're able to just get over it. I don't care if you look into agriculture, livestock, bees, any of these things. Once we get these things, they're hard to shake. Some of them do diminish in how much they affect our bees, but the bigger ones typically don't. The really bad ones typically don't. And even if they did diminish, and this is kind of a twofold thing, even if they did diminish on varroa mites, who's to say we don't get tropale laps? Or we don't get large hive beetles. They have another type of hive beetle over in Africa. I think they'll be easier to control if we do get them. And then what about Asian hornets and then Japanese hornets? And actually, I think there's a couple different terms that we're supposed to use for those that are more politically correct, but whatever. The Japanese definitely don't use politically correct terms. Um, so, there's all kinds of pressures. We're going to keep getting more. And I hate that, but it's just going to happen. I don't see things getting easier than what they are now. But we can get better than we are now. That's the difference. Have you tried Aprivar strips with OA vapor while the strips are on? I technically can't answer that question because you're not supposed to do that. But I may have or may not have known somebody who has done that, and they said it worked fairly good. The Hawaiian Queen producer you visited, does he ship to mainland looking for a supplier for February delivery, Current Pest Control? He does. He ships out a lot of queens in January and February, but the problem is Current Pest Control. You better start calling him now. And honestly, he's pretty busy with a lot of the commercial orders and stuff like that. Okay, I'll be the one to ask. In your opinion, is Rocket Fuel better than Hive Life? Absolutely. Seaweed, maybe it does something for bees. It seems a little far-fetched, and I'd like to see a lot more research. You're kind of you're bringing something into beekeeping that's not naturally there, and it could be good. But most products that you bring from other things into beekeeping, like a lot of these products, don't really make a lot of sense. Maybe they make a little bit of sense in a lab, but I think Hive Alive is one of the better supplements if you're not using it, but I don't even think they're in the same category, in my opinion. Those things are stimulants and they keep your feed from fermenting. The thymol that's in it, I think, is the best thing in Hive Alive, but you can also get that in Man Lakes Pro Health. Thymol has been proven over the last 100 years to do some good things for bees. However, those aren't the same thing as this. This is a full mineral. It helps their hormones and their hypopharyngeal gland. Wow, I said it. Can we get a round of applause, please? Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. You need to get one of those clapper things that like, yay, like kind of like the Andy Griffith show when Barney does something. Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's really in the same category. It's a really good mineral supplement. But Hive Alive, I've used it. Seems to be a good product. Most of the time, I just use it when I have syrup laying around and I need to keep it from fermenting. Have you used the rocket fuel as a syrup additive? So, oh, he's talking to Ian. Ian's tested all of it out. And Ian uses it, from my understand, at he only he has a short season anyway, so it's not like the rest of us. I mean, it's all very specific and has to be timed. Um, Ian's got his answer right there. But as far as that goes, these products are tools, and so it's not a cure all. If you have a bad queen, it ain't going to fix it. If you have high mite loads, it's not going to fix it. If there's not good pollen or honey in there, it's not going to fix it entirely. But this kind of stuff at critical times of the year, spring build up and fall build up to go into winter, that's when I think these type of supplements shine the most. What's the situation as far as the lunches to be provided at Hive Life this year? Last I heard, nothing was set for sure. So we have brokered a deal with the new guy running the catering. I'm super excited for this year. He's ex-military, runs a tight ship. He can actually communicate and meet us when he's supposed to. So I think the meals are going to be really good. We have several plans that we're implementing. The food should be really good, and it also should be fast and on time. And the coffee is we bought out the coffee, and like I said earlier, that will be from this coffee company slash beekeeping company, Copper Canyon in Missouri. They roast their own beans. They have tea too. It's going to be phenomenal. And if you ship your honey anyways online, consider buying from them because they are beekeepers and support the kind of stuff that we like. Mm-hmm. All right, came in lots of talk about thymol crystals, homemade dish sponge, anything. Uh, coming, I guess, on with that. So, I've never tinkered around with making my own thymol treatments. I know Bob has done that in the past. Um, I know a lot of commercial guys do. As far as using it for like sugar syrup, I've never tried to make my own thymolated syrup. Randy Oliver has a section on his scientificbeekeeping.com about it. You have to be careful, make sure that you get the ratios of these things just right. Too much can be really bad for your bees. However, I really have never mixed anything up with thymol before, and maybe one of these days. And that's where we're going to try to have more time for those kind of things in the future. But it's going to take money, and it's going to take me getting an employee or two. Is there a website for rocket fuel? So two things. It'll be at the conference. The guy that makes it will be at the conference, and he just loves to chat. Um, It'll be 25% off there, and the information will be there as well. It may very well be in the patties that we're going to have it in bulk at the conference. But if you're not coming to the conference, there is a website. You should be able to just type in Apis Biologics with an X on the end. Oh, you got it, Chris? All right, good deal. All right. Let's see here. Nuts and bolts, I like to feed when the bees can cure the syrup, so I like to be finished before it gets cold. Just smart beekeeping. Stay ahead. If you're behind, someone asked me a question yesterday. She's like, "What? I'm doing an article for our newsletter, and what title do you think would be appropriate for November?" I thought about it for a couple seconds, and I said, "Darn, I really wish I'd have done this 2 months ago." And that's kind of where a lot of beekeepers are at in November. I've been there a lot as well. A lot of beekeepers trust the fall flow to give them stuff that sometimes it does not give them. I don't trust my fall flow. I don't remove honey from the fall flow, so I don't care if I get a little sugar syrup mixed in with my fall honey because the bees are just going to consume both anyways. And so our fall flow usually ends sometime in, as far as decent amount of like big time surplus, late September. We'll get some trickles in October, but this year was so dry we weren't getting hardly anything. So you get in your bees in late September and you feed them. Yeah, there's a few distributors here in the U.S. for Apis Biologics. It'll probably be on the website, I'd say. Yeah, Zach, I'm home. Speaking of the Hawaiian queen rearer, mostly in Hawaii, the honey flow just comes in just perfectly, never too strong, never too little. Uh, they don't even really work bees. Occasionally they show up, they grab some queens out. Half the time they don't even graft, they just come back about 3-4 weeks later, and there's queens back in there. In Hawaii, it's just easy. I just wish I lived there. Zach, I'm sure on the other end of this is saying is using some colorful language, Chris. I would say. John, here in the low country area of South Carolina, we have hives that are destroyed by hive beetles. Do you have any issues in your area? And if so, what is your management method? First of all, we keep our bees very strong. You got to keep your bees very strong, and this means they need to have plenty of food throughout the year. There should never be a shortage of food. If the colony has 8 frames of bees or more, there should never be less than 3 deeps worth of syrup or honey in that colony. And so many beekeepers let them do that. Um, Chris, you just signaled something to me. I have no clue what the heck you're doing, man. So if you're telling me to no, I don't get it. So, anyways, as far as that goes, you got to keep them strong. You got to keep those mites low. Small hive beetles only take over weak colonies. I've heard otherwise, but I've never seen that. I've seen colonies with 150, 200 beetles in them that were good looking colonies. Putting traps in there helps, but it only takes a few beetles to take down a colony that's weak. If you have hundreds of beetles, yeah, that's more pressure. But in fall, we have to realize our bees need to be in optimal shape. We have yellow jackets, we have European hornets, we have everything and their brother trying to eat our bees to fatten up for winter. Mites are typically at its highest point. Nutrition can sometimes be poor. You have small hive beetles all coming in from outside influences as other colonies collapse, maybe in the wild, or maybe they were in an orchard eating on the fruit, and now they're getting into your hives to overwinter with your bees. So late summer and fall, the small hive beetles start getting into your hives a lot more. And it's all about keeping your bees strong and keeping the beetle levels low. And so this year we tested out those oil traps with some pollen patties in them. And that was great. We're hoping that there might be a control that will be better with the pollen patties from Georgia, but we'll have to see how that develops. Heavy propolis use in colonies is a great tool against small hive beetles. It is. Colonies that propolis more, you won't like it, but the bees sure definitely do. And Zach says, I'll hire you full time. I'll pay your flight and house. Yeah. Well, I'm used to working a lot harder than you guys do. I think I would get bored, Zach. Um, no, Zach, you need a reliable person, don't you? See, somebody can just move to Hawaii and be there. It's gorgeous. It's expensive though. Gosh, you ship anything to the big island, and you might pay more for the shipping than you will for the product. What's your hourly rate for a new employee? Maybe I'll retire and move to Tennessee. You'll have to at least match what Ian pays Carrie. I don't know what Ian pays Carrie. And those Canadian dollars are funny. I don't understand how those work. I'll pay you in Canadian dollars. How's that sound? How much weight does the Ultra Bee / gelatin pollen patty recipe you have given out in the past produce? I cannot remember off of the top of my head how much that recipe makes. I'm wanting to say it's 10 pounds to 5 pounds, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. If you go into the playlist on the YouTube channel and go into the playlist, you'll see there's a pollen patty section, and you can click the one that says, or you can just type it up in like Google, Michael Palmer's recipe with just a slight tweak. And I cannot remember the poundage though. It's been a few months. And typically, what I use is not what I share on YouTube because I'm making mine like 50 pounds at a time. You can't live off of Canadian dollars. Well, I'm not planning on ever trying, Ian. I can tell you that. However, we'll pay you in U.S. dollars when you come down here. How's that sound? They're good for now. We'll see what happens. Gas prices, gas prices. Woo, yeah. After a freezing night like tonight, I find 20 plus dead hive beetles on the screen bottom board. I think they can't get into the cluster and freeze. Yeah, I think there are some beetles that probably get in there and get some good spots in the cells, but some of them that got kicked out right before this hard freeze got really bludgeoned. And I have no sympathy for them at all. Wonder if there's something we can do to kind of separate them out a little bit. There's a guy, he was telling me what he does is he's created this little piece of metal that fits right on top of his frames and kind of runs and leaves a gap just about an eighth of an inch tall to where a bee can't get in, but a beetle can go in that dark space, and they're about 4 inches long. And then when he opens them up, they're hiding in that dark space, and he just knocks them down and crushes it up against the frame. And he says, a lot of times he'll kill 20 beetles like that. I've never done anything like that before, but if you had a bunch of beetles, that might work. Do you use pollen patties or sugar bricks for overwintering hives? So pollen patties, you don't use to overwinter hives. We use them just to kind of fill in the gaps when there's early spring pollens or fall pollens. So it's really just to give our bees a boost. Once pollens get going really good, we just stop feeding pollen patties altogether. So for us, our pollens start mid-February. We'll throw some pollen patties on a couple times between then and late March because you know how weather is that time of the year. Rain, 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 cold, cold, cold. And if the bees can't get out and fly and gather pollen, then they might not be able to grow as fast as they could. So this kind of just smooths the gaps. That's the same thing we do in the fall, but in winter months, they don't need that much protein. Very little protein. A lot of times they'll have some pollen they've socked away as bee bread in the comb. So the only thing I do for winter is feed them sugar syrup, or if there's an emergency, I make sugar bricks. 10 pounds of sugar, 1 cup of water. Mix them together, stick in the oven for, actually, I have a wood stove. I just stick them about a foot away from my oven overnight, and they are able to knock somebody out the next day. Haven't tried that yet, but someone breaks into my house here in the next couple of weeks, they might find out. All right, Florida. Pollen patties are a breeding ground for small hive beetles in Florida. And yeah, they are here in Tennessee. I'm sure it's worse in Florida, but in the summer months when we're in a dearth in July and August, we get into our bees about every other week, and we still throw pollen patties in there. And everyone in this area tells me I'm a lunatic, and hey, I'm okay with that. We make softer patties. If you buy the prepackaged ones, most of the time the bees eat them a lot slower because they have to be made denser to withstand all the shipping and the packing. So ours are softer. They're in 1 inch strips. So there's a lot more surface area. Our lids have a gap, which makes it easier for the bees to access. And we only throw what our bees can handle. If I've got a strong double deep colony of 40,000 bees and I throw a 1 inch strip of something they want to eat, those beetles aren't going to be able to eat it and mess it up fast enough because they'll consume that in an under a 3-day period. So when you're pointing down, Chris, what does that mean? Oh, you sent me a message. Ah, okay. Oh, that's what that is. Wow, this is handy. This technology, man. Um, Joe Jackson, what is the shelf life for OA? Absolutely no idea. Not a clue. But you definitely want to keep that bag sealed, Joe. It might last for decades. I really don't know. But you want to keep the bag sealed because, like honey, it'll absorb moisture from the air and it'll make it to where it will build up residues in your barrel, and also it'll take longer to cook. All right. So a couple things really quick. We are at the 30-minute notice. For those of you who weren't here early on, I wanted to say that we will be doing 1.5 hour live chats probably from here on out, unless there's something crazy going on, like Bob Benny comes on and hijacks the whole thing. Which, hey, he was supposed to be on for like 10 or 15 minutes last time. And when Bob Benny wants to stick around, you stick around. So, it was a great chat and had a blast. But that was, he's like, well, I just want to say a few things. I don't plan on being around for more than 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, well, 10 minutes. If that's all you want, Bob, then that's all you, that's Bob Benny. He gets what he gets. He got 2 hours and like 10 minutes. So anyways, real quick, at the conference, for those of you who are coming, the honey jar exchange, you can do a half pound, you can do a 1 pound, you can do whatever you want. I don't really have time to monitor that. You can do plastic, you can do glass, and you can do all that stuff. But it's a free for all, so to speak. There's going to be nobody on my team managing that. So I'm more than happy to see that happening, but I actually will have to get paperwork done if I have to do this kind of thing, and I don't want that. And I also don't have enough personnel to expend to that. So, one of the other things is silent auction. So just like this year, all the money for the silent auction goes to the kid program. This year we have some great 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 18-year-olds and all in between that are coming to the conference. Some of them are running like 100 hives, and some of them are running a couple hives, but they're very passionate, and all the money to the silent auction for Hive Life goes to that kid program, where we give them a free ride, their parent a free ride, or their guardian, and pay for their hotel. So just so you know, I'm going to actually leave a link in the comments. This is for Andrea Porter. She is one of our awesome conference supervisors. If you have anything to donate to that, it doesn't matter if you're a vendor. Actually, we raised like $1,000 something last year from individuals. One guy was bringing cutting boards. Somebody else made some custom hive tools, and a guy this year is going to be doing some cornhole boards. That's beekeeping, and I'm going to bid on that myself. I really need some. So best of luck getting those from me. That's right. I promise I won't use Laurel's money, because she's the one that holds all the money. I can't even access my bank account right now if I wanted to. Probably for the best. Now, as far as that goes, yeah, again, all of that goes to the kid program, and I'm super excited to have the 26 kids we have this year. I think next year we'll have 40 plus. So another thing, real quick, someone asked a minute ago, Jed Thorne is making U.S. extractors. Unfortunately, right now, I think Thorne Manufacturing is going to be the only U.S. extractor that we have. I've tried to get Maxent. They're not coming. Dadant says they're coming, but that's what they said last year before they backed out. And I don't think they're motivated to bring extractors. So someone asked about U.S. extractors. Thorne is going to be the only U.S. extractor probably at the conference. However, they've got a new mini wax melter that is the darn coolest thing. I helped Jed design the first one. The thing is awesome. I've got commercial guys. I've encouraged commercial guys to buy from Jed, and they're loving them as well. They're a great unit, American-made steel, American-made thermostats. It's going to last you the rest of your life. Let's see here. That last question, Chris. Will Big Red be at the conference for 2023? It might be. I'm planning on it. Unless something crazy happens, it will be. I think there's a question before that, Chris. Yeah, winter tickets being closed for sale. So tonight, you have until midnight tonight. That was something that I said earlier. We have really hit our limit on what we can handle. There is going to be some people backing out, I know. So you have until tonight to get the tickets. We appreciate everybody who's coming. We wish we could handle more people, but right now, with staff, attendees, vendors, speakers, we're looking at 1,900 odd people right now. It's a pretty darn big group of people. Kamon, any Beetle Buster baseboard wraps at Hive Life this year? I don't think so. I haven't heard anything from that. So unless somebody brings some, and I don't, that very well could happen, and I just don't know it, then. So I thought Hilco was coming, and they are made in America now. Hilco, I don't think has anything on them that are made in America. Maybe the sticker. They're, John does critique them and stuff, but basically the legs and the motors come from China and everything, and they just assemble those pieces together, and that's that's as much US that's on there. So they're a Chinese extractor. Where's your American flag? So I have got it over here where you guys can't see it. It will be back up once I get this done. This is the layout for the vendor area, and that's 42,000 square feet. And I've spent about 14 hours planning that out, logistics, flow, spacing out the vendors so they don't kill each other because some of them hate each other's guts. Trying to put ones that are compatible, like right over in here, we have Miller Bee Supply that makes lay-ins extractors. And then right next to him, we have a company that makes really nice lay-in style hives. And they're really nicely made. So we're trying to put things compatible and make it successful for these vendors. We've got to make it successful for them, or we're not going to get the darn good deals that we get. Hey, it's Randy the Dirt Rooster. He's one of the guys. He's been at every one of our conference. And someone asked me the other day about a mascot for Hive Life. I'm like, why do I need a mascot? I've already got the Dirt Rooster. So yeah, Randy's going to be there with all of his merchandise, and his wife has been working hard. I don't know if Randy has, but I know Elizabeth has been kicking butt. She was picking up some supplies the other day. Does Thorn make wax dipping tanks for your bee boxes? Maybe. I can't say anything more. But I think I heard something about 16 gauge steel and other things. We'll chat and email about that next year. I'm a Kansas rep. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that, David. I was too busy making fun of you in Missouri to ask you those kind of questions. Where are you putting Randy? Near the exit? And I figured I'd put Randy near the bathroom, so if anybody threw up after, hearing one of his bad jokes, so they'd be able to get to the bathroom real quick when we have to clean it up. Randy says I could wear a chicken suit. Can you talk like Foghorn Leghorn, Randy? That would be fantastic. I mean, I'd pay money to see that. But no, Randy's going to be actually close to the entrance, yes. And we're going to separate him and Mr. Ed because I don't think the building's structurally sound enough to handle that in too close a proximity. Kamon, would be great if you had a conference on how to run a conference, how to make bee conferences run a 101. Your success is unparalleled. In the boring conferences. I agree with in the boring conferences, but why am I wanting to create my own competition, Stan? I'm actually being a little facetious there, but honestly, I don't think we've done anything. I know a lot of people like it, and I appreciate the praise and all that stuff, but I don't think we've done anything that really is, like totally new. We have just given people what they already wanted. They wanted good deals. They wanted to see cool stuff. They wanted to hear fun people, and they wanted likable people. They want to see Laurel. I mean, what more can you give a crowd? I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. We are very particular about our structure too, and some people hate me for it. I've had a lot of kickback on, why do you do it this way? Why don't you focus on getting this guy? Well, because that guy's a nut. That's why. Why don't you get this lady? Why don't you get her? She's a nice person. Well, it's great that she's a nice person. She's a terrible speaker. Sorry. So Chris is like, go away from it. Go away. You're sidetracked. Get back on track. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. But no, this is the stuff that I deal with on a regular basis. And we get a lot of messages. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But the truth is some people can, some people can't. Kamon, are they still going to restrict taking purchases out the front door? So you can take purchases out the front doors, but you can't roll them. So as long as you don't touch that carpet with any wheels or merchandise, and if you carry it out, it's all you. But you can go right out the back door. People are going to have to use that a lot this year. Ian says, I'm a terrible speaker. I know, but you've got a YouTube channel, man. It's all marketing. Oh, well, am I supposed to not say that? Chris is like, don't do it. No, you do good, Ian. You do fine. Well, at least that's what the Canadians tell me, but maybe the Canadians don't have, a good judge of character on your speaking skills. I don't know. I've heard good things. So we expect great things, and we'll be very disappointed if we don't get them. Chris is like, Lord help me. May have missed it as I joined late, but what suggestions do you have for a first time attendees? So I know, well, it says Facebook user. So if you're on Facebook, first of all, just keep tabs on the Facebook group. Also check back on the website. We're adding stuff all the time. We're going to be adding more stuff. We're going to have all the deals compiled in one area. We're going to be talking about a lot more Ian marketing. But the main thing for new beekeepers is to just be ready to have a good time. It's going to be fun. There's going to be so much stuff to see. If there's some product that you already want and you know that you like that product and that vendor's going to be there and you want to pick it up, call them up. If they haven't got a deal, ask if they've got one. And that'll encourage them to do so. You know, the feedback, that's why this conference has grown, is because so many people have emailed and basically harassed these companies and go, are you going to Hive Life? Are you going to Hive Life? Are you going to Hive Life? And it's like the parent in the front of the car, like, we'll get there when we get there. However, it's really worked. And because that people have seen the companies have seen demand, they'll bring cool products. So if there's something that you already know you want and you're driving, plan to go ahead and get it. And then as far as the rest of it goes, just enjoy, peruse all the stainless steel and the wooden boxes and the odd styles of hives, and see what you like. And you'll find there's a bunch of companies out there that are better than some of the big boys, and you've just never heard of them before. And it's going to be great to help shift people's money into companies that deserve that money and will give you what you actually want, and keep inventing products for you. Has the speaker schedule been put together and released? No, not yet. That we're working on that. I've got Bob Benny's talks. I've got Ian Stepler's talks. I've got Etienne Tardif's talks. I've got a couple from like Richard and a couple other guys, but I'm still waiting to get some of the speakers' talks. And once we do, we will start balancing them out. But it's going to be tricky. I spend hours just trying to figure out what speaker to go against the other, because I have to think about a lot of things, not only what people want, but also I don't want everybody in one room and not in the other either. I got to try to balance things out. Logistically, it's a nightmare. Some days I just wish I was doing bees again. Pierce Beekeeping Equipment. We will be at the conference. Looking forward to seeing you all. So there's another U.S. company right there. They make their hot knives and their uncapping tanks and so much more in the U.S., grafting tools and all kinds of things. So we are looking forward to seeing Pierce again. We were very thankful they gave us a shot last year. A lot of companies said no last year, and Pierce was one of the companies that said yes. Love Bob Benny if I can hear him. Well, this year we've got Bob Benny rigged up. We're going to have him probably like double mic'd. He'll hold one like this. We'll have one a headset on him. We're also going to have a room this year that's carpeted. And I'll have Bob in that one because the acoustics are a little bit better. Nobody has a problem hearing me. But Bob's a little hard to hear. So I have told Bob once, I've told him 1,000 times, kiss the mic. But, you know, Bob just doesn't always listen to young punks like me. It's a great chance to really look at over all these tanks and extractors, turn them upside down, look at the electrical, and look at the welds of all of them before you buy. It really is. You know, and also you get to meet the personalities. There's some of these companies, you know, and they'll say, we know bees. And we all know that they don't know what the heck they're talking about. And then you can go to some companies that do know bees and are inventing products. And just imagine if not all of it, because that's impossible, but if the majority of hobbyists and sideliners and small professionals, their money is going into companies that actually like you and actually are trying to get you new products that are better. And what we do is we breed, basically, we select for companies that are going to innovate for us and create for us and give us good customer service. We've got to put our money in those companies and ones that are doing stuff here in the U.S. Any plastic frames going on sale at the conference, like Acorn Frames? There will be some plastic frames for sale at Hive Life Conference. We have not announced those yet. It's actually supposed to be here like the next week. So I am going to call that guy up here in the next, like tomorrow, and say, dude, I'm waiting. This guy right here is waiting. But no, we'll have some awesome prices on that. We have 20% off. Sorry, Premier Foundation if you want wood frames with plastic, and that it comes to like 30 cents per one that you buy. So if you buy 100, that's $30. Buy an extractor. So Miller Bee Supply has 15% off their extractors too. Imagine this: you buy $1,000 extractor, 15% off, $150. Then you don't pay for shipping because you pick it up there. That'll cost you at least another $150 or more. That's $300. That pays for, if you're one person, that pays for a lot of your expense to get to the conference. Glad to know North American products are being promoted. If I had my way, that's the only products we'd have. But we're really not in a position where we can do that 100%. And, I can't control everything in the industry, and it's a good thing because I shouldn't. However, we definitely like to give a leg up to the American companies. Definitely. I've never purchased anything in my extraction room that was not made in America. It's not been cheap. I have zero complaints and would totally do it again, because I buy it to get rid of problems, and they do, and they work, and they work, and they work. I've got some stuff from Kelly's that's from the 70s, and it's still working. I've got some Watlow immersion heaters like they've got on the Thorn ones. I was the one that told him to use those, by the way. I'm still waiting for some kickback here. You hear that, Jed? Are you on? Um, Chris is like, Kamon, please shut up. Uh, Gus Mitchell, I'm excited to try comb honey. Got my shallows and frames from Skipper. Hey, Mimi's Bees, thanks for coming on again. So, Skipper is a great Tennessee manufacturer, and of course, Gus is one of my beekeeping buddies that does. I've learned a lot from Gus over the years. I've also learned not to tick him off because he can pick me up and throw me like a spear too. But as far as those frames Skipper makes, that's one of the things that Kelly's used to have. They'd have those, I think they call them F style frames, and they went down to a point in the middle, and you could use them for foundation. And there's guys like Skipper who will make custom stuff for beekeepers for your comb honey needs or different types of beekeeping techniques that you want to employ. And a lot of these big companies, especially Man Lake and Dayton, they're even this year, they're cutting back so much product. Basically, if it's not a big money maker, they're cutting it completely out. But they've forgotten that there's a lot of products that maybe you don't make a lot of money off of, Man Lake, but people like those. And if you don't have them, they're going to go somewhere else. And if they buy those products somewhere else, then they're going to buy other products from somewhere else too while they're at it. Gus is a big boy. He could throw most of us. He could. There was something, I can't remember what it was. I was over helping him out. I think it was a stack of supers. And, Gus stacks everything way over my head. And, so it was a heavy stack. And I grabbed it, and I can move it, but I grab it and I'm like putting my whole body weight into it. And Gus is like, just one hand, just push. I never shake his hand. You'll never see me shake Gus's hand because I always feel like I'm about 4 years old when I shake Gus's hand. How come Dirt Rooster has a check by his name when nobody else does? Is he that big of a deal? Well, see, he has 100,000 subscribers, and he has fooled the people at YouTube into thinking that he is actually really, really good at this YouTube business. And so they've checked him off as a professional, but we all know better. No, he's one of the big boys in the beekeeping realm on YouTube. All right. I hope these vendors bring nice swag. I got some neat stuff last year. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff. Bob Benny's going to have a booth. There's going to be several vendors that are going to bring some cool stuff. I'm going to bring some cool stuff. Of course, Randy brings cool stuff every year. So there's going to be some pretty cool merch. And it's time that beekeeping was fun. I'm so, you look in baseball, sports or music or any industry, and you have cool gear, neat hats and shirts. And yeah, I know that's little bitty stuff, but we're bringing kids in with this youth program, and a lot of other young people are coming in too. We've got to make this fun and exciting. It can't just be all boring ho hum kind of stuff. And hey, some bee merch, we're proud. Let's go out there and wear it and drum up some honey cells. People need to be annoyed they see so much bee stuff out there. Man Lake and Dana are becoming ridiculous. Our local supplier is cutting them out of the picture due to constantly raising prices. Prices go up, quality goes down. Kamon should be verified. Thank you. I appreciate that. As long as you guys say I'm doing okay, I'm good with that. I don't really care what YouTube thinks. I did check it, Chris. I am listening to you. I'm trying to act like I'm not paying attention to you, but I am paying attention to you. Maybe one of these days I'll get bona fide and certified and all that kind of stuff. Kamon's doctor said he is verified. When's the last time I went to a doctor? It's been a long time. I don't get my checkups because if I did, I'd be on like 3 medications at least. Like, you have all these problems, but I know, but I'm a beekeeper. It's normal. All right. I want to go to Hawaii. Take me with you. Someone just commented that. So above, I posted a link to an email. I'm posting it again. It's sweetlukeyfarms@gmail.com. This is our awesome, one of our awesome supervisors, Andrea Porter, that helps us put on the conference and does so much. She is taking care of our silent auction stuff this year. So even if you have anything from candles you'd like to donate to, you like to quilt or sew or knit or anything like that, and you'd like to donate that to the silent auction, she's the one to talk to. And every bit of that goes to our kid program that brings kids to our conference, and they have to send in an essay and a YouTube video proving that they are hardcore. They don't have to have 100 hives, but we need to know that they're serious. And we've got some really awesome young ladies and young gentlemen coming to the conference this year. I am super excited. The blue check mark is for people with low self-esteem to help them make them feel like a big deal. We all know better, Randy, but he's like me. He picks on himself. Now, he's worked hard for that check mark. He's worked YouTube way longer than I have. And those cutouts are tough. Doing that in that Mississippi heat, no thanks. I can tell you're somewhat a shy guy, but you're doing great tonight and did well yesterday. Oh yeah, thanks, David. There's no sarcasm there whatsoever. I really suffer from being introverted and shy. It's a big time struggle. Will the youth scholarship attendees have a moment to introduce themselves, or will they just enjoy the show? So the main thing I'm requiring is we're making them T-shirts. We're getting them some cool gear and stuff, that kids like. We want them to enjoy beekeeping and go, wow, there's a cool future here. And wow, look at all these beekeeping toys. And hey, there's other kids over here that are my age that like beekeeping too. I'm not the only nut in the world that's my age that likes bees. I know what that felt like as a teenager. And I don't think we're going to actually force them to get on stage and do anything like that. But I am going to take pictures of them, and I'm going to try to have that in a thumb drive. And we're going to have some of the biggest sponsors for the kids on the back of their shirts and stuff like that. And we'll be doing some other cool things for them. But Natalie's one of them, and she says if I get her up on stage that she'll kill me. And I believe her. So I ain't going to do it. Nothing is funnier than listening to Kamon roast Ian. I'm glad somebody else enjoys that too. There's nothing like a good Canadian roast, and I'm not talking about the coffee either. I'm not talking about Tim Hortons. No, we like American coffee down here. So this is the official coffee sponsor of Hive Life, by the way, and they're not paying for that. But since they're working with us and bringing darn good coffee and teas that they custom do, and they're in Missouri and they're a beekeeping company as well, I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, if you're shipping coffee to your house, maybe give Copper Canyon a try. Wow, I definitely need to brush up on my advertising skills. And now, try Copper Canyon coffee. It's great. It's bold. like Randy. Okay, let's never do that again. Chris, edit that out. I heard cutouts mentioned. I definitely don't recommend emergency cutouts in 110 degrees. Well, Randy, he does cutouts, but he's more of a cut up, in my opinion. Bobby Brown, can we attend Hive Life for one day? So actually, right now we only have it set up where you pay for a ticket, and you can attend for one day. That can be Saturday, or it could be Friday, or both days. But we don't have it right now where there's a 1 day ticket price. We're trying to keep it simple. We have a tiny crew, super tiny. We are working 14, 15 hours a day, a lot of us right now, and that's no joke. Yeah, so we're at the time. So I'm going to say a thing or two real quick, and then we'll wind it down just real quick. But as far as that goes, next year we may have 1 day ticket options. That would be great. But this year I was able to get 1,700 people in without having to do anything fancy. And that's really past probably what we can handle. After we have some people back out, we'll probably be in the 1,600 range, which will be fantastic. Some people came, why'd you have to grow it so big? Well, in order to have the room this large, it's going to cost a lot more, but we're bringing in 85 vendors this year. They're putting tons of money into this, and they're giving us the best deals you'll ever see in beekeeping as a hobby or sideline beekeeper. We got to make sure that we have enough people in there to make it worth their time. Chris Summers says, "Can we get Chris a new name? I keep thinking I missed something." Well, Chris, just ask Natalie, your daughter. She'll fill you in on anything that you missed. Girls are really good about telling guys what they missed. However, so what we're probably going to do, Chris, since Chris Summers helps us with the conference too, it's going to be Menderes and Summers. I ain't going to be calling you Chris and Chris at the conference, or Tweedledee and Tweedledum, or whatever we want to do. But as far as that goes, it's going to be a blast, and I appreciate you guys so much. Chris and Chris help out a lot. Let's see. I appreciate all the kind feedback, and we want it to be fun. We want to be educational. Hive Life is important. I know that the people that don't come to Hive Life that watch the videos maybe feel left out, and I hate that. But this is what we're doing is really important to the industry. The people are starting to gain a little bit of control on things, and I can't do it by myself. But working together and having this as a focal point of education, not just for beekeeping, but also education on what are the good products, who likes us, who's creating for us. Let's shift our money that way. That is going to long-term drastically change who's in control of selling products in the industry. And the beekeepers are going to have a say and vote with their dollars, and Hive Life can be a big starting point to that. So I feel really inclined to put a lot of effort into that. Is anyone doing anything with their local FFA or junior achievement school programs to promote beekeeping? I don't really know a lot of people who are, except I do know a program in Texas that's pretty darn good. But in Tennessee, we don't have much of anything. I'm just really disappointed. Really disappointing. And we need to see more of it. That's something I want to move into the future as well. So it's going to take I need some employees. But I've got some good ideas for that one. There's a lot of potential out there for beekeeping. We're not selling ourselves very good. We can make a lot more money for our industry, sell our honey a lot better. We can get a lot more kids involved so we can raise them into it and get them to do the work for us so we can sit back and relax a little bit. And that's my ulterior motive. That's why I'm bringing these kids in. It's so they'll get into beekeeping and we'll get them addicted, and then they'll do all this work, and then I can relax a little bit. It's a whole pyramid scheme. All right. Anyways, before Chris is like, you know what, I'm pulling the plug. I want to say thanks so much, everybody. You guys help so much, not just for us, but I think you really help the industry out by working with us and helping create things with us. And the tickets for Hive Life end tonight. If you're going to get a ticket and you want to get it midnight tonight, get it done. It's Central Time. And thanks, Chris Medeiros, for helping me do all this stuff in the social media. Thank you, guys. My voice is starting to go. Thanks everybody that's come to the conferences, and we will see you guys in the future. God bless.